Hi. How many of you guys are sports fans? Okay, well, how many of you guys are boxing fans? Well, one of the reasons I wanted to speak to you guys today is I wanted to share some of the reasons that I love boxing. And I'm thinking after I'm done, maybe you guys will be interested in exploring the sport for yourselves. Okay, I grew up watching boxing with my family. It was mostly me and my father. We grew up watching fighters in the 90s and in the early aughts. And in those fights, basically, it featured world-class competition, fighters showing their preparation and determination, and it's some of the best memories I have growing up. Um, Good reasons that I also enjoy boxing is because fighters have to develop a skill set. They have to prepare themselves mentally and physically, and this is a process that can take months and years. And as the public, we get to enjoy the benefits of that when they eventually come to a fight and put on a show. Um, One of the things that my father likes to say is, you know, boxing is one of the only things that the entire world stops to pay attention to. And I think that's evidence because one of the biggest fights or one of the biggest sports events in the last past 5 years has been Conor McGregor versus Mayweather. It was a popular fight in which it got millions and millions of people to take in and watch the sport. Um, another another event that recently just happened this last past Saturday was we got a chance to watch a good fight between Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko. And this was a title unification fight, which means four different championship belts were on the line, and the winner was going to be able to take those belts. So there was a lot of drama involved. Um, I guess there was a undercard narrative of the fact that Vasily Lomachenko has been a dominant opponent. He's basically established himself as somebody who beats world champions. He only fights world champions. And Teofimo Lopez was the young fighter trying to get an upstart. Like I said, this fight took place just this last past weekend. Um, I think it was a good example of how fighters have to game plan, but they have to change their game plan along uh, as a fight progresses. Uh, Teofimo started off aggressive, and he was able to use his jab in order to push Vasily Lomachenko back. And these are techniques that boxers need to use in order to be effective in the ring. But at the same time, you have Vasily Lomachenko who has to establish himself and score points, and he has to be able to close the distance against a taller, more rangier fighter because he has a longer arms, and he can touch Vasily Lomachenko a lot easier than Vasily can touch him. And so just being able to watch that back and forth play out throughout the fight was something that I appreciated. And there was a lot of action because as a fighter has to close the distance in order to score points, they have to put themselves in a position to be countered, or they have to stay in what's called the danger zone, which is where you have to stand more flat-footed and you have to take the possible punishment from incoming shots. And so just to see the way that he was able to navigate that fight, he ultimately lost. But once again, the thing about boxing is it allows you to put on a display of anything. You can put on a good display even in a losing fight. And one of the things I liked about his display was that even in losing the fight, he showed tactics and he switched game plans. If one game plan wasn't working, he tried the next one. During the commentary, Andre Ward stated that it's never your game. It's usually not your game plan A that wins, but it might be game plan B or C. You know what I mean? So he wasn't able to be successful in this fight, but he still kept a fan in me, and I'm still going to want to watch him fight more because he still carried himself like a champion even in losing the fight. And that's another reason that I like boxing is because it shows you those values of sportsmanship. Once again, you're seeing competition on the highest level, but you get to see how fighters compose themselves, how they're able to make moves and still show up to perform in the middle of the lights, in the middle of the crowd. And another fighter named Timothy Bradley, he also spoke about how, in the 10th and the 11th round, uh, that's when fights are really made. And this was a championship fight. Um, Timothy Bradley was the broadcaster on the ESPN broadcast. This would have been on ESPN, and one of Vasily's strategies was to try and take the fight into deeper rounds, which is considered the 10th through the 11th, which is considered the championship rounds. And he tried to launch his attack and ultimately tried to get Teofimo Lopez out. But Teofimo Lopez, he kept his composure, he stayed disciplined, and he didn't allow himself to become victim to that fight. And just once again, it was just a good example of competition. Teofimo Lopez was only 23 years old, yet he was able to beat another fighter who was basically dominated at a world-class level for, I'd say, about the last 5 years. Vasily Lomachenko has dominated the lightweight division, and so it took a tremendous amount of discipline and courage and belief in yourself for Teofimo Lopez to seek him out, take this challenge, and test himself with this opponent. And it was just an excellent example of what you can do when you set your mind to it. And that was just in the form of a fight, and I suggest all you guys take an example or take a look at that fight, because it shows a good example of the technical ability of both fighters, but also the heart that it takes to really be a champion. And that's really what boxing is about, and that's why I'll continue to watch it, and that's why me and my family watch it, and that's why I encourage all of you guys to watch it. So with that is my presentation, and I hope you guys have a good day. All right, bye-bye.